All right, guys, so the leftists and the liberals just finished celebrating breaking the glass ceiling, okay? Because Kamala Harris is the first female vice president. And the Democrats, who are all about symbolic victories, obviously ran with this, okay? They ran with it. We were the first party to have a female vice president, even though, personally, I don't think it means a damn thing, okay? I care about your policies, not your gender, sex, race, whatever you want to call it, okay? That's me personally. Now, when we're talking about policies, Biden's policies really tell you what he thinks about women, because he signed an executive order that infringes on women's rights. It allows for discrimination against women, particularly in sports, by allowing transgender women, aka biological males, to compete with biological women in sports. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So Joe Biden signed an executive order that unequivocally is attempting to allow transgender women to compete, aka biological males, to compete with women in sports, thus taking away a woman's right to compete in fair sports. Okay, so the order declares, quote, children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they will be denied access to restroom, the locker room, or school sports. All persons should receive equal treatment under the law, no matter their gender identity or sexual orientation. The order purports to direct administrative agencies to begin promulgating regulations that would enforce the Supreme Court's 2020 decision of Bostock versus Clayton County. In fact, it goes much further. In Bostock, the justices held that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibited an employer from firing an employee on the basis of homosexuality or transgender status. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for a 6-3 majority, took pains to clarify the decision was limited to employment and had no bearing on sex-segregated bathrooms, locker rooms, and dress codes, all regulated under Title IX of the 1972 Education Amendments. Under Title VII, too, the majority added, we do not purport to address bathrooms, locker rooms, or anything else of that kind. So Joe Biden is essentially taking a decision that was very, very limited in scope to the employment place, and he's trying to extrapolate that and apply that to sports. Okay, that's what Biden's attempting to do, guys. And guys, keep in mind, these are Biden's first few days in office. Pay attention to his priorities. This is what he's prioritizing in the middle of a so-called pandemic, where we're supposed to be struggling economically and we need stimulus. This is what's on Biden's agenda. Okay? So let's read a little bit further here. The Biden executive order is far more ambitious. Any school that receives federal funding, including nearly every public high school, must either allow biological boys who self-identify as girls into girls' sports teams or face administrative action from the education department. If this policy were to be broadly adopted in anticipation of the regulations that are no doubt on the way, what would this mean for girls and women's sports? Okay, basically what it would mean here, as this article goes on to talk about, is that women's sports are done. Okay, that's obvious. The Biden administration is essentially seeking to destroy women's sports. And they're trying to argue that this is equal when this is in fact not equal. The party that's supposed to be pro-science always wants to ignore the science when it comes to their agenda. And that's what mind boggles me about the Democrats. Men and women are biologically different, okay? Men have more muscle mass. Men have more testosterone. There's hormonal differences, okay? There are bone structure differences. These things matter in athletics. They matter in sports. You cannot deny that. So women who want the opportunity to compete, right, on an equal playing field need to be competing against other biological women. Competing against somebody that's a transgender female who's a biological male is not fair, because even if that person stops receiving testosterone, okay, once they hit puberty, right, the damage is already done. They've already developed the bone structure and muscle mass that males have. Okay, this is how people are born. So even if, again, they go through all the operations and the treatments and all that stuff, it's still not fair. And guys, I'm not against transgender people. I'm not. Because the liberals want to try to frame this as this, oh, you anti-trans. No, I'm not. I just feel like trans people should compete in sports activities with other trans people. Compete with people that are going through the same things that you are, that's similar to you. Imagine a young woman, biological woman, girl, who's worked hard all her life and built up her speed, let's say in track, to become a top sprinter, right? And then she goes out and competes, and she ends up losing a race that she should have won because a biological male was able to compete against her, who didn't have to work as hard. Sports is about meritocracy, okay? I mean, how is this meritocratic? It's not. Again, these people claim to be so pro women's rights, except when it comes to this transgender issue. All of a sudden, women's rights goes out the door. They don't care about women. They care about men that want to be women more than they care about like actual women. Okay? And again, I don't have any problems with transgenders, right? If that's what you want to do, that's your lifestyle. I don't care. Freedom, whatever. But they should just compete in their own sports with other transgenders. But see, the liberals don't want that to happen. You know why they don't want that to happen? Because then the liberals will be required to financially support the transgenders in sports. And the liberals don't want to do that. They don't want to financially support them. Because if we gave transgenders their own sports, the reality is, would people really show up? I don't know. Y'all tell me. I don't know. Y'all tell me. I'm not sure. But I have a feeling that a lot of liberals would not be as inclined to show up to those sports events. Therefore, those sports events would go away. They would cease to exist because nobody's coming. And this is why they're trying so hard to allow transgenders and biological males to compete with biological women. They're trying so hard because they don't want to have transgenders set up their own stuff, because they know they will have to financially support it. Otherwise, if they don't, they're going to be hypocrites. That's how this whole thing works. And guys, I mean, to me, what's just amazing, again, outside of just the fact that this just is obviously discriminating against biological women, is the priorities of this administration. Why is this a priority? I mean, half the people not even in school. Like, there's a lot of portion of the country that's not even playing sports. Why is this a priority on your first day? Why are you not trying to get stimulus out to people? Why are you not trying to, I don't know, have a real plan on COVID? This is what you're worried about. You're worried about silly stuff that don't matter, you know? And again, I mean, also, look at who else they've been paying attention to. Oh, he's freezing deportations. While also encouraging illegal immigrants to migrate from South America to North America, to the United States. And they're on the way. During a pandemic. He's gonna let a bunch of people come in here during a pandemic. Guys, I can't think of a worse possible start to a presidency than what Joe Biden has done over the last, 3 or 4 days. Seriously. And again, this is just one of those examples that this guy's priorities are way out of line. They're more concerned about being woke than they are about actually helping a majority of the American people. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.